Very good.
Good. Well, as usual, let us start with 3 Ohms so we can unify our hearts, our minds, and our voices. Sorry. Om. Om. Okay. I hope that you consider ohming like that on your own. Whenever you feel just a little out of sorts, it's always a good thing to do. And always remember, it's better to do it in series of 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever it is that you want to do. But it really helps because remember, it's vibrating through your whole being, not only your physical body, but your light bodies. So it moves through your mind and it helps to clear out that little bit of that clutter that's, right there. And it keeps us from listening more deeply. So I don't know, do you remember what the word has been for December? Oh, can you hear me? No? Oh, I see.
Listen, listen.
Yeah, I did like this. That's exactly right. It was listen. And the saboteur of listening is dogma that we'll talk about here in a moment. But I did want to remind you that, listening is the way to become more intuitive, because intuition is a very deep level of listening. It is listening. It actually is listening, but it's listening at a very, very deep level because we're listening to sounds that our ears may never hear. Intuition hears the sounds that our ears may never hear. Intuitively, we hear what's behind the words that are spoken, the emotions, the intent, the part of it that we don't even know that we're looking for it. Listening deeply, very deeply, is listening with your heart. It doesn't matter if your ears are capable of actually hearing. If you have hearing loss, doesn't mean that it affects your intuition, because it does not. This is the kind of listening that doesn't require your ears. It requires your heart to open, sort of like your biggest ear that you have. So it's like, that's what you really want to do, is to learn to open our hearts. It's very difficult because we live in times where people feel like they have to choose sides. I'm on this side. Oh, really? Well, I'm on this side. And it's like the two are like hands like this. They can't come together. Now, if I'm on this side and someone's on this side, and if I listen with my intuition, we can still come together. Because I'm not going to be afraid that I'm going to lose myself in you. When you really listen to your own heart, you are more committed to what is actually there. So when somebody else speaks to you and it's oppositional, you're not so afraid of being contaminated by it. Because you know what you really want to listen to. And when you hear their words of opposition, it can help you to not absorb it so much if you listen with your heart and not only your ears. To be unafraid to listen. We've become very afraid to listen to people, so we interrupt right away and basically tell them that they're wrong. And then they repay the disfavor. So now we have people just talking at each other, bouncing off of each other. Boom, boom. And when that happens, they both feel the exact same way. You didn't hear me. You don't listen to me. You don't care. Brrr. So there's none of this that happens. So then we're not strong. We come into this life alone and we leave alone, but we live with one another. And we have to learn to listen to ourselves, because we have times when we are to be alone, and we have to learn to listen to others and to be unafraid to listen to our own inner voice, because there are a lot of times when people are afraid to listen to their own inner voice, because the inner voice is going to tell you, hey, they made a mistake. You don't have to shame them. But our head will say, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to go ahead and shame them. Even though we don't say that to ourselves, but we do. We have to be very, very careful about wanting to shame or to humiliate somebody because they disagree with us. It's not a good thing, but it happens on every day, because we're only listening from here. And then it scares us that people will overtake us because of what they say. But when you really listen to your own self, in the sense of listening to your heart and the goodness that abounds inside of you, then you remember how strong you are. Remember, if you forget who you are, go look in the mirror. You're a human being. That's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I said this before, but it always bears repeating. Remember, there are souls that would love to have a body right now, and they can't get one. But you have one. And you live here on this planet, the earth. And it is a privilege. It is your right to be here because you have earned it. But it is also a privilege. And we can be here this whole time and not listen to anybody else, but it doesn't say very much about how we feel about ourselves. It means that you don't realize how strong you are. You feel like you can be overtaken by someone's words, so much so. Words are very important, and they do hurt us. And you know me, I'm not a fan of when people say words mean nothing. Oh, I just said that, big deal. Yeah, I said it. I don't know what the big deal is about all that. Of course, that person does. Words are a big deal because this is how you express your thoughts. Remember, you'll never say a single word that you didn't think first. So every single word is the karmic reaction of your thoughts and your habits of thought. So when we do say things that we didn't actually think upon, it came running out. It's because we think on it so much that now it knows its way, and it stands first in line to come out. So we have to be introspective and to listen to what's in our mind. What kind of thoughts am I thinking? When we sit to meditate and it's so hard because all these thoughts are running around, what are those kind of thoughts about? Are they about upsetting conversations that you've had with other people? Because if they are, it's your responsibility to clear them out of your mind, not think that you can't get rid of them until the other person sees your point of view. Why wait? Help yourself in the moment to have some peace. Don't wait for someone to come and apologize and tell you that you were right all along and feel like I can't move forward and listen until they tell me how right I am. It doesn't matter. And you might feel like, well, it could be wimpy. They could take me over. What is all this fear about being taken over? If we're really this afraid about other people's words making us really small and diminishing us, then we need to come back home and strengthen ourselves. We need to come in here, because if you don't trust you, who are you going to trust? I say this too because in intuition classes, that when I do a class on intuition, I always tell everyone that listening is very, very much, it's deep listening is intuition. And intuition requires two things: deep listening and faith. I could have used the word trust. Trust or faith in who you are. Do you have faith in your own thoughts? Do you have faith that the thoughts that you're thinking will protect you, your family? Do you have faith in yourself that your thoughts will protect you from the thoughts of other people? Do you even think about this? Because our thoughts are very, very important, because you can't speak anything that you didn't think first. And it's your responsibility to keep your mind clean. It's your responsibility to bathe. So take a bath for your mind. That's what meditation is. That's what doing spiritual work is. Sadhana is, it's like a bath for the mind, to give your mind good rest, to have more pure thoughts. What's a pure thought? A pure thought is a thought where you're working on harmlessness. Harmlessness, please do not make the mistake and think that harmlessness is weak and wimpy, because those who are perfectly harmless are the strongest humans we have on the planet. They are the ones that can make a difference, because their harmlessness has to be earned over lifetime, 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 lifetime. It has to be earned to be able to be so strong that you prefer harmlessness over all other things. He's okay. Really, harmlessness. It doesn't make you wimpy. Oh yeah, go ahead, walk on me. That is not harmlessness. If you think being wimpy and having people walk on you is harmlessness, you've made a mistake. You must protect yourself. Not everybody is going to abide by the rules and be harmless to you, of course. So you have to be there awakened enough to take care of you rather than fight with the other person. How do you take care of you? One of the things is you may have to walk away. Maybe just in the moment, maybe permanently. But if you walk away and all you can think of is this person and their words, you're still not taking care of you. Those vibrations that are in our head that we think about that person all the time, we say, no, I'm not thinking about him. But you know what he said to me, you know, that. And remember that those vibrations, those thoughts, you did hear that I'm using the word vibration, right? Okay, so this is a vibration, right? It vibrates. So if I'm thinking about some conversation that I had with somebody maybe 2 months ago, and it's still reverberating in my mind, that means it's actually creating vibrations, and it's creating a habit of thought. And that is not just staying up here in my brain, because my brain is the computer for my whole body. So those thoughts go into my whole body. And it's not just the other person because they said them, they only said them once. I brought them into me in this way, and now I'm repeating it every single day. I'm repeating what I feel like they said to me, what they hurt me with. I'm repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. They said it once. I'm saying it another 1,000 times. So that means that is now in me, which means now I can become those words that they said to me. Maybe they said, oh, you're just a really bad person. And I'm like, how could they say I'm a bad person? And I'm spinning and spinning with that, talking and wondering about me being a bad person. And after a while, it can actually contaminate me so that then I have those traits. It's very easy to become the thing that we disdain if we continue the circuit of repetition. So when people say words that you don't like to you, to your loved ones, to your friends, to any of your companions, don't be repeating them in your mind again and again and again. If you disdain those words, that's why we do the virtue. So the word, the saboteur for December was dogma. So if somebody's saying to me, this is the way it is, this is the way it's always been, you can't change, you can't bring in new ideas. And they're talking to me this way, and they're creating a wall so that I can't move forward. If I'm not there for me, I might start getting convinced that they're right. Whether they're right or they're not right, I choose to be good. It's a choice. It's a choice. Being right with facts is not necessarily in alignment with goodness. Dogma wants us to be right. Intuition will always tell us where the path of least resistance is. It will always take us home. But you have to be willing to listen deeply. And in order to do that, we have to learn to relax. It's very hard to learn to relax when your mind is going over and over and over what you feel was an assault on your character. Now, are you doing yourself any favor by doing that? Not much. It's more of a disfavor. So you're probably wondering, well, what the heck? How are we supposed? I can't just let it go. Somebody insulted me, and they insulted my cat. You know, this is horrifying. How am I going to get through this? I can't stop thinking about it. The cat didn't do anything, and here they are saying what an ugly cat I have, and how ugly I am too. Oh my God! And you want me just to get over that and not think about it? No, it's not that I want you to. But don't you want to be free of it? Don't you want to rise up and help yourself? Don't you want to heal yourself so that you're not repeating the words that were given to you and now you're part of it? The anger won't make your cat's dignity return. Your anger won't make you a more dignified individual. Not at all. It's about you wanting to be good so that you're strong. And people have heard me say this before, but there's this, it's hard for me to, with longer quotes, it's hard for me to get them exact, but I'm going to work on this here for you for just a moment here. It's better to be good. It's always better to be good than to be right. Because when you're right, you may not be good. But when you're good, you will always be right. So if you strive for just being right, then it can deteriorate into self-righteousness. And that is dogmatic. But when inside you make a conscious decision to be intuitive, to listen to your heart, what's really inside of you, and you're unafraid of goodness, then you'll realize that there are solutions that will keep you free from the fighting inside of your heart. If your heart is free from participating in fighting with others, disagreeing with them, putting them down, telling them how bad that they are, if you can make yourself free of that, you will have so much more energy physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that's what makes not only the individual strong, but the family strong, the neighborhood, the city, the state, the country, and so on and so forth. But if we all participate in I'm right and you're wrong, and that's all, as far as we can get, we're going to fight each other. We're going to fight each other for everything. And as we start to move forward into the future, are we going to fight over water? Or are we going to learn to share? Are we going to fight over food? Or are we going to learn to share? We live in turbulent times. There are people already that aren't going to have enough water, which means they're not going to have enough food. And we have to open ourselves up and find solutions of goodness, not just we have the rights to this water and we're not sharing it with you. We're coming into a time where we have to take care of the individual and make the individual stronger, because if you don't, if I don't, if you don't, if we don't, then groups don't get any stronger. And we just get stuck in fighting. Now, not only will we be fighting, but we won't have enough food and water. I'm not trying to be negative or to be scary. I'm just telling you to remember that we live in difficult times. And we feel like what's going on in our life is so big that it makes us forget that we live in difficult times. I don't want to think about that anymore. COVID's over. This is over. It's time for us to get out. Yes, of course. And it's time for us to learn how to rest ourselves from temperamental outbursts. Temper is such an interesting word, isn't it? Temperature. You raise the temperature, you lower the temperature. But when you're baking, when you temper chocolate, right? When you temper chocolate, it's a very delicate situation. Too much is too much. And it can happen very quickly and spoil the chocolate. Tempering ourselves. We have to be aware of tempering ourselves and understanding that we want to have good results. If we don't temper ourselves, then our temperature just rises, and our temper rises to a point to where we boil. And anger, it makes us hot. That's why we have sayings like, that makes my blood boil. If the temperature rises too high in the individual, it's just like it being too high out in the environment. Things start to go awry. If I live in chronic anger, it's not going to be good for my heart. It's not going to be good for my brain. This is not a good way for me to have good physical health. We think it's just anger. I don't know why you're saying this. It doesn't affect anything else. It's just in the moment. Now you see what I'm doing? And you see, even just doing that, just demonstrating it to you, I have to get myself kind of in that space, you see? And it doesn't make me strong because I have a temper. It can make me dangerous. But a dangerous person isn't a strong person. They are a dangerous person in that sense. So we don't want to be a danger to ourselves. When you're all by yourself, all you can think about is what everybody else that was bad said to you. We have to learn to be quiet inside. There's a lot of people who have sleep issues because it's hard. A lot of people talk to me about sleep issues. It's normal, I'd have to say, sleep issues. No wonder nobody wants to meditate. Can't go to sleep. I'm certainly not going to sit quiet for 5 minutes. These things are connected. Can't sleep. Why would I meditate? Oh my God, I have things to do. I have things to think about. Are we thinking straight? No. By the time we get to that place of panic that we can't sleep, and we certainly can't sit for 5 minutes to meditate on love, no, you can see that we have gone too far. We have gone too far. And that can hurt our mind as well as our brain. It can hurt our bodies. It can hurt our relationships. It always affects our karma. So, listening, the art of listening is the art of intuition. It's the ability to open your mind and be unafraid to hear something that you oppose. We think we have to do this immediately. Don't tell me about your views. The good in that is where? Who benefits by us doing this? Well, then then I'm not going to hear it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are. Sometimes, don't think that we just have to speak words in order to be heard. There can be people who have thoughts about us that they don't speak. They can really hurt us. I say that to you so that you are more aware of this. Because when you're by yourself and you think some really bad thoughts towards somebody, it actually leaves you and goes and touches them. I know people don't always enjoy it when I speak like this. But I think it's important to start the year off with helping ourselves to remember to be vigilant over our own mind and stop trying to change everybody else to think thoughts that make us feel good. It's a difficult world. We have difficult thoughts. We have a lot of problem solving to do. And it isn't going to get done by each person criticizing the other side so bad that there's no solution to be made. It's not easy to work in a group. It isn't. Of course not. Some of you have heard me say this also before. When I was a child, if my mother and father had an argument, one of the things that my mother had said was, the reason that your father and I are having a disagreement is because there isn't one person doing all the thinking. So group work is not easy because there is not one person doing all the thinking. That's why it's difficult to live in a country that has so much freedom. We're used to one person doing all the thinking and then we obey. And this is the great experiment, for each person to be a free thinking person. The problem with that is that people don't take the responsibility for to be free thinking. Doesn't mean that you should be thinking such negative, horrible thoughts about yourself and or everybody else, because it makes a difference. We have to learn to be compassionate with our own self. Thinking really horrible thoughts about everybody else, how bad the world is and how bad each individual is and how horrible it is, all these different things, they're going to move through you, they're going to vibrate through you, and it can hurt you, it can make you sick, it can take your energy away for the day. Really. Sometimes it happens to me with strangers. I can go someplace, feel perfectly fine, and then as I'm leaving, I don't feel so fine. That happens to me, and I'm aware of it, because over these years, I have to be open and sensitive. I have to be intuitive to do what I do. So it makes me aware of it. But because I'm aware of it doesn't mean I'm the only one that this is happening to. You too. People that have no awareness whatsoever, it's happening to them too. We hurt each other with our thoughts and our words and our actions. We help each other with our thoughts, our words, and our actions. It's the solution is the same, but the opposite. So I wanted to talk to you about it in this way today, because we do this sadhana. Sadhana means practice, spiritual practice. We do this sadhana, this spiritual practice that we call the word of the month, so that we remember that for every saboteur, there is a virtuous quality that saves us. And we must save ourselves instead of waiting for someone to come and save us and getting all upset that they didn't come and save us from ourselves. If the enemy is within, then treat it in a way that it doesn't have power over you. How can you do that? So last month, our word was intuition. The saboteur was dogma. So how we work with the word is we say to ourselves, okay, I want to participate in that word of the month thing. Okay, so it's intuition. So what does that mean? Okay, maybe what do I do with that? What you want to do with that is first let it circulate through you. Insert it into conversation. Intuition is not a word that everybody's going to insert into conversation, but you could be having a conversation with someone and go, you know, I was thinking about this the other day and I had an intuition about it. What do you think about this? You see how I inserted it? Because you see, I'm using a virtuous word, which means I had to think about it. I had to put effort into it and I had to make it come through my mouth. That's effort. That's a practice. That's a spiritual practice. I'm consciously changing the lines of my thought by observing the words that come out of my mouth. Because if I pay attention to what I'm saying here, and I consciously change how I say it, that means that I'm changing the origin. We all have bad habits of speaking. And when you want to be more free from that, to be more conscious of that, then things like the word of the month. So you begin to see that, oh my God, I was telling that person exactly what they needed to do. This is what you need to do. And this is what you need to do. And this is how you need to do it. And preaching, being dogmatic. When we're focusing on the virtue, you will see the saboteur. And it will help you to know that if you stay with the virtue, it actually makes it so that the saboteur doesn't have any place to grow. So this practice of the word of the month, how that came about is the yin and yang symbol. You all know that. Usually they say yin and yang. Doesn't matter if you say yin and yang or yin and yang. You know that one, right? So on this side, it's white with a black dot, and on this side, it's black with, did I say it right? You know what I mean, it's opposite. So what that means is that the seed of the opposite quality is always inherent. What's important here is where do you put your attention? So if I put my attention on goodness, malice is still inherent. It's still there because it's an opposite. Remember, wherever I go, here's my front, here's my back. They always go together. It's where you put your consciousness. So the word of the month is to help us to remember the balance of yin and yang. So one of my favorite examples is the yogis talk about that patience is a virtue because it's not about waiting, as we all know. It's not about waiting. Patience is inner strength. So in order to diminish anger with ourselves, anger with one another, anger with whoever, whatever it may be, we have to focus on patience. This is the word of the month practice, where you catch yourself. You're starting to be all angry and okay, well, this isn't very fun. What did that lady say? What did she say? What am I supposed to do when I start to feel like this? You start to use the virtue. When was the last time you used the word patience in a very patient way? Usually we throw it at somebody. Oh, be patient. Oh, they're just not patient at all. You see? Instead of saying, wow, I was so impatient with that store clerk today. I just wanted to get out of there. And she had to bag everything so carefully. Ugh. Oh my goodness. Did you save time by feeling that way? In the line at the grocery store, waiting. Ugh, right? Not enough to wait. We wait impatiently. What happens is after a little while, it starts to morph into anger. It starts out by feeling a little impatient. Then it starts to become a little bit of frustration. Now I'm checking the time. Now I'm getting upset. Now inside, I kind of want to move because anger can make us want to move because you can't sit still because anger raises our temperature. So it starts to make the body want to get going. Looking here, now my jaw is starting to clench. Ugh. You can feel it starting to happen. I'm not doing anything about it. Now I'm looking at the clerk and I'm mad at her for being so patient with the person that was in front of me. So now there's this exchange vibrationally between the two of them, between the two of us. Just like when the person that was being late in front of me, if I send them negativity and then I send the clerk who's helping us, if I send her negativity too, and I get back into my car and then I send negativity to the person who didn't use their turn signal. And then when I get home, I kick my cat. Yeah, you know that's true. Not the cat kicking part. So if you want to practice, make that line at the grocery store your church. What? Yeah, hallelujah moment, right? You're already there. Why not practice? You're having to wait, there's nothing you can do. Your anger isn't going to make this line go any faster. You have to wait. So why not consciously practice patience. So how do you do that? First of all, you have to want to. First thing is you have to want to experience inner strength. Who doesn't want inner strength? Well, I don't really know what it is. Well, that's not good either. You know what a strong body feels like as opposed to when your body feels tired and weak, right? You know what your mind feels like when it's strong, when it's well rested, when it's agreeable, right? You know what that feels like. So in that line, you're not feeling that way. You're feeling very upset, very entitled, right? Why do you have to suffer fools every day? So what you do is you start by breathing consciously, long and slow. And you start telling yourself, breathe long and slow. You're teaching yourself inner strength to come home, to protect yourself from the anger that's in the air. And you're breathing it in and breathing it out, and it's contagious. Now other people have it. You don't want to be a part of that. And you take the word and you go, okay, what's that word? What's that word? Patience. Okay, patience. So as you're breathing, you teach yourself, okay, breathe it in. Breathe in patience. Breathe out patience. You are coming to your own rescue. You're not waiting to be a damsel in distress for some hero to come and save you. You're showing up for you. You're being strong and kind. You're purifying your heart and mind. You're doing really good work. That's the practice of intuition. Your intuition will always tell you how to take care of yourself in every single moment. But when you don't trust yourself, you can't listen to yourself. I have to say this too, because I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, I don't trust myself. Why would that be? Why would you want anybody else to trust you if you who are in charge of you don't trust you? This does not invite my trust when people tell me they don't trust themselves. No. No. We make mistakes. That's not the same thing as I'm untrustworthy. It's not the same thing. A humiliation is not the same thing as I don't trust myself. No. By trusting ourselves, we will go for the medicine. We will trust that we have the strength to practice peace in the grocery line. If I can practice peace in the grocery line, I surely can practice it in my car. Or if I can practice it there, I can practice it when I get home and I unpack my groceries and I make dinner for myself. Instead of just flopping things in there and thinking, wow, what a bad day I had. Brr, now I'm going to eat like that too. Holy cow. I'm going to need medicine if I keep acting like this. And my medicine is self-compassion. That's my number one medicine. Come to your own rescue. Don't let yourself get into such an agitated state that now you're unavailable, not only for you, but for others. And wherever you go, that agitation is going to touch other people and it's contagious. I tell you that so that you remember, yeah, we spread more than germs. We spread negativity. It's a type of germ. And it can make us sick. We can do these things negatively and positively. So the word of the month is a practice to help you to come to your own rescue. So sometimes you want to have different things. That's why I always say, have a 911 kit. So you have a mantra, something that you like to chant, a favorite prayer. There's maybe a passage that you've memorized. And if you haven't memorized that passage, take a picture of it and carry it with you on your phone. So you're standing in that grocery line, you pull your phone out and you dig that passage out that you've taken a photo of, and you read it. And you become it. You see, if you have these different kinds of things in your 911 kit, if you can't right in that moment, take a deep breath, then read this passage. Or maybe there's a master that has lived and you love this master. Have a picture of the master on your phone and look at it. Just look at it until it begins to melt your heart. Chanting is really good for the soul. Mantras. As you chant a mantra mantras usually have something to do with the divine, a divine name or divine purpose in some way. So these things are so strong, they're so empowering that anything that's lower than them cannot get in while you're chanting it. Who knew? You know now. So if again, I'm in the grocery line and these things are happening and I feel myself starting to spin out, I'll go to one of my favorite mantras. So my main mantra is Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, Shri Sai Ram. And I will say that to myself if I'm feeling agitated. I say it many, many times in other ways, but if I'm agitated, that's my first go-to. What it means is I take delight in chanting the name of the Divine Mother. That's what it means. If I say it in Sanskrit, that's what it means. And when I say that, I can feel it. Even as I'm talking to you about it, I can feel it because I've been saying it for decades. We live for decades. Think of what you say to yourself. What have you been chanting in your mind for decades? When you're impatient, what do you chant? I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. Or I take delight in chanting the name of the Divine Mother. People say, that's just ridiculous. Really? Don't knock it till you try it. Very big opinions over something you have no experience with. If it's so wimpy and it's so easy, really? Come on. You know it's hard to do that because anger makes us feel right. And when we're angry, we don't want to be doing chanting. Because we're very busy thinking about how the other person is wrong. I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right becomes the chant in the mind. I'm right, they're wrong, I'm right, they're wrong, I'm right, they're wrong. That becomes the chant. And now when you leave, you're completely agitated. And then that thing starts up again. Then there's a driver that didn't turn the turn signal on, and now they've got your wrath. And then you go home and kick the cat. You see how this happens? So what I'm telling you is remember that every single thing affects every other thing. Everything that you say does not stay in your mind. I don't know why we think our skulls are so thick that no sound escapes it. Every thought that you think pervades your body because it creates a vibration. And that vibration doesn't only affect your body, but the bodies of others. And the more that you practice coming to your own rescue, you begin to realize this phenomena that I'm telling you about, that you are affected by everyone else and they're affected by you. It's true. So instead of like waiting and building boundaries all around us and doing all of these things, building walls that won't keep you from yourself, the real danger lies from within. We think it's the bad thoughts of other people. I'm going to build walls around me and protect myself from the thoughts of others. What's going to protect you from you? Every time you tell yourself what an idiot you are, it's not going to protect you from that. No. You have to have a resolution. New Year's resolutions are interesting. Why not be resolved to practice peace? Why not commit to the practice of peace during 2023? Things will escalate in 2023, of course, in a positive and in a negative way. They have to, because it's churning quickly. You can see it. It's very difficult to stop something that's churning so quickly like that. It's going to take time. I'm inviting you. I don't have my phone. Thank you. I'm inviting you to practice peace and to practice the word of the month. And you don't have to do the same word that we're doing. It's good to do it with other people, which is a really nice thing. You can have your own word. I'm encouraging you today to consider a virtue for yourself to focus on for the entire year of 2023. So I'm going to share with you mine. This is the word that I am going to be committed to throughout all of 2023 is actually going to be our word for January. And it is the word courage. That's the virtue, it's courage. Courage does not come from the mind. Courage moves so fast that the mind can't even think about it. Courage requires no thoughts. It requires space. It comes from the heart. Courage knows in that moment to move into action. It will help you to save yourself. By saving yourself, practicing, okay, let me say it to you this way. So go back to the grocery store. I'm standing in the line. I'm looking at that paragraph that for some reason or another is always helpful to me. And what it's going to do is it's going to start to fill my heart with love. And as that happens, it's going to give me the courage to let go of the anger. Because anger is an enemy that's fighting not only you, other people, but it's fighting you. It's you fighting you. So it takes courage to be calm. Now, as I go through the line and I've been practicing and I get up finally to the cashier and now when I look at her, she doesn't have to feel like this because she's seen me in line going, right? So she knows that when I get up to her, that she could be hurt. Not just with my words, but with my vibration, because she's hurt on a regular basis by people being this way to her because they don't see her humanity anymore. But if I'm standing in that line and I practice courage, the next person that moves up into my space will feel that vibration because I've left that vibration in that space. If you go someplace and you sit in a chair when somebody's been thinking really horrible thoughts, you will be contaminated. If you sit in that chair and you think a whole bunch of horrible thoughts and somebody sits there, they will be contaminated. It leaves dirt. It does. So courage will never come from the brain. It'll never come from, it just requires no thinking. It's from the soul. It's from the heart. And it puts you into action. And courage doesn't, I mean, there's the obvious parts of courage where it's, a firefighter or somebody, but you see, they're practicing courage. It's conscious courage. And it's their job. So we're not talking about them. Well, we are, but not their jobs. We're talking about each and every one of us having courage to love, to open up, to listen, to know that I'm strong enough to be in a situation where somebody is opposed to what I say. Having the courage to be quiet and let people say whatever they need to say. And if I can maintain this place where they can feel me listening to them, guess what happens? They start to listen to themselves because they feel my quiet. In a time of opposition, we need quiet more than we need throwing cabbages at each other. They're stinky. It's true. It's true. So it's okay, you know, to be very emotional. I'm probably one of them. I don't think this is far-fetched for me to sound the most emotional person I know. Well, I am a very emotional person. And I know that. And so I know I have to take care of myself. I'm not waiting to be saved. I take care of me. And I have no resentment about it. I take care of me. And any offering that other people give to me, I am grateful for. But it's in addition to, I take care of me. I take care of my heart. I take care of my mind. I am committed to my practice because compassion is so important. And I want to have a compassionate heart because I always feel so much better. And even though sometimes, like these last few days, oh my gosh, have I had a bout of tears? Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, because sometimes it just hurts because there's so much pain, not just in me. I don't mind it. Because that kind of pain is already there, whether I feel it or I don't feel it. There is pain on every inch of soil on this planet. And you can go to the grocery store and there is so much pain there. I feel it. But if I were there and I didn't feel it, it would still affect me. Like it affects you. Everywhere you go, you are affected by the vibrations of those places and everybody that's there. The only difference is I feel it consciously, but it's because of the work that I do. I do it so much that now when I'm not working, I'm still working. I'm still open. But you see, it doesn't crush me anymore. And I'm an old lady now. And I'm stronger now than I was in my 20s or 30s, far more strong. And it's not from anything else except for practice. Practice, practice, practice every single day, coming to my own rescue. You see, I actually accept the words of Buddha, Jesus, and Krishna, the saints, the masters, the yogis. I accept that they all say the same thing. So consistency shows truth. So I tell you this so you know that I'm a student. Yes, I'm better than I was before. I still have a long ways to go. But I'm not troubled by that. I have a long path ahead of me. I'd love to tell you I have no outbursts of any kind, but that would just be a damn lie. It doesn't mean I don't trust myself. I do trust myself to return back to myself if I've had some sort of upset. I do trust that I'll come back home because I love coming home. So when I wander away, I know I'll come back. So I say these things to you so that during the month of January, that you come more from your heart and you have the courage to accept that people don't all think like we do. And that's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid you're going to be taken over. That's what courage. You need courage to not be afraid that you're going to be taken over just because somebody has opposition. Don't be so afraid. Be strong enough to be kind, strong enough to listen, strong enough to change yourself, to come to your own rescue. Have the courage to bear it out and not retaliate. So what do you think the saboteur of courage is? Well, you'll be surprised, I think, when I tell you the one that we're going to use. Because I guess we could have said it was cowardice, but no. It's bravado. What? I'm here to rescue you. Or dominate you. Don't wait for someone to come and rescue you because it might be out of their bravado. They're not really interested in you. They may be interested in only themselves. Come to your own rescue. Be there for yourself. Practice courage for 1 month. Insert it into your sentences somewhere along your conversations. Use it in an affirmation. I am courageous today. I am courageous today. Wow. Not a very big word. Use it in affirmations. Use it as a mantra. Use it any way that you want. Feel it. Be it. Say it. So that we stay away from bravado, which is that self-serving, I'm a good person and I'm going to save you. No, just be there. Have the courage to be quiet when everybody else is screaming at each other so that they have some semblance of peace in their midst. Let us really practice peace, peace, peace throughout 2023. Okay? Why not? I hope that that you feel courage throughout your whole body. Feel it in your mind. Have the courage to be kind to someone, whereas before, maybe they really irritate you. Have the courage to go beyond your own petty anger in that moment and just be kind to them. So you're not afraid that if you're kind to them, that they're going to annoy you even more. You know, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid all the time. And when you might be thinking, I'm not afraid. Why does she keep saying that? Anger, when we're angry, and people tell me that they don't have any anger too. It's like, oh, please. You have no anger, no fear. That's not true. Someone's not looking deep enough. We all have it. It's just that we want to reduce it. It's not going to go away, but we want to reduce it. We want to reduce the effects that it has on us. We want to have the courage to come to our own rescue. Be your own firefighter. Put the fire out in your mind. Come to your own rescue. Douse yourself with cold water. Absolutely. You know, come to your own rescue during the month of January. Help yourself to feel rested. Let yourself meditate. Really, meditate for 5 minutes. You're like, you can't meditate in 5 minutes. Well, being quiet for 5 minutes is better than what we've been doing, right? Be quiet for 5 minutes, maybe 3 times a day. It's life-changing. Doesn't sound like it, but that's because you might not be practicing that. Practice 5 minutes of being quiet and conscious breathing, and breathe in courage, breathe out courage. Breathe in courage, breathe out courage. You do that 5 minutes, 5 minutes, set your timer, 5 minutes on your phone. You could be sitting in a parking lot for 5 minutes and breathe in courage and exhale courage. And when you leave that parking lot, that vibration of your practice will stay there. The next car that pulls in, they will feel that. Consciously, probably not. Unconsciously, definitely so. I say it to you this way so that you remember to spread the virtues. We can all spread the saboteurs way too easily. And we do. Now we have to practice the virtues so that we have inner strength. And it's generous. It's a generous act. It's called seva, service to others. So we have a whole year to get better. Well, the rest of our lives, of course, but let us start with courage, okay? So we usually, what we do is, we're going to do 3 ohms here in just a moment. And then afterwards, if you'd like to stay for questions, that would be lovely, okay? So my voice is not so big today, so we're going to do 3 ohms and see how this goes, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year. Peace be with you. Namaste. Do we have questions? Does anybody have a question? Comment? Suggestion?
Thank you, Jackie, so much for bringing us into the New Year like this. Last month's word, listen and intuition, are they in your context of your talk, they're synonymous?
Yes. Listening is like, listening is something that we all have to work on, you know, just listening to one another. But intuition is the word for a level of listening that's very deep. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't even have to hear words spoken. So listening is still, intuition is still listening, but it's hearing sounds that our ears won't hear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, dear?
Oh, and the saboteur, dogma, meaning, yeah, not wanting to, well, dogma is, I grapple with that, the definition of dogma. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I remember as I use my own kind of ways of defining words, know that this may not be from the dictionary. But for me, things that are dogmatic have this kind of a vibration to it. This is the way that it is. And, you know, basically don't be like messing with it. Don't give me new ideas. No, this is the way it's been for 2,000 years and it's going to stay this way. And that's how it is. To me, that's dogma, which is no listening, not even to words or to anything, you know. It's non-listening because if I'm being dogmatic right now, I'm just going to speak at you and there's no way for you to say anything that could oppose me. I'm right. So it makes me self-righteous. Right. I understand there can be a positive. Remember that every saboteur does have a positive quality to it, because remember, remember the yin and yang symbol. You can get a yin and yang symbol. If you don't have one, download one from the internet, one that you really like, and meditate on it. Really? I'm sorry. What else were you going to say there, dear? Oh, yeah. And then another word that comes along with dogma is I'm thinking of
the word doctrine.
Oh,
You know, you hear about, like, especially in church doctrine, you know, well, it's correct. And it's like unchangeable, like this is the doctrine of, it's not open or malleable in any way, shape, or form. So, um,
yeah. I
yeah.
get what you're saying. So you know what? That's something that we've been talking about. I was talking to some people earlier this week, and we were talking about the Lord's Prayer. So like when I was a child, I learned the Lord's Prayer. And, you know, I learned it as just memorize these words, basically, you know, and you're supposed to say it, and that's all there is to it. So it really didn't have like a big, deep effect on me. It wasn't something that I really thought about. It was just like, this is what you're supposed to do. If you want to get a place in heaven, this is what you have to do. But then being in India, I learned the Lord's Prayer in the yogic tradition.
Mm.
And it's the same exact words, but it has meaning now to me.
Mm.
It's a completely different prayer. So we
Mhm.
forget that any prayer, any spiritual words from any religion do not belong to that religion,
Mm.
belong to the world.
Mhm.
People say, no, this just belongs for this religion. No. If a master gave those words out, they belong to the world.
Mhm.
They're not just Christian or Buddhist or whatever it may be. No, they're for everybody. They're for everybody. But when people start to claim it and say, no, it belongs to us, and you have to do it this way, and you have to have these credentials to be able to say that, that's just arrogant. These words of love are for everyone. Who says that you're supposed to be selfish with love? Prayers that have to do with love, that's for the world. We're supposed to be generous, to say them generously, to teach them generously, to listen to them generously. That's what love is. Love expands, it never contracts, right? Dogma contracts.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you.
Jackie, I have a, oh, go ahead. Simon, do you want to go?
No, go ahead. I come after you, Deborah.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I want to see if this prayer is the best in the situation. Like when somebody doesn't use their blinker in front of me, you know, instead of getting angry which I used to, but I say a prayer to God, may they learn to use their blinker. And so I'm not angry, but is that being self-serving?
It depends on what, actually, it's really not so much the words in this particular case. It's more what is your intention.
Oh, yeah, I don't, it's just as simple as that. Just that may they learn to use their blinker and to help all of us.
Well, I think that's just fine.
Oh, okay. There's no motive behind it other than that.
I don't know, only you know what your motive is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no, for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so
If you're just being helpful, so that because you know that if they don't learn to do that, that other people are inconvenienced, and somebody might like not know it, and somebody could get hurt, you know. So it just depends on what, you know, it's your so we don't want to be dogmatic and say, you know, Deborah, now this is the correct way to say this prayer. You got right.
Got it.
So that would be different. That would be me being dogmatic to you and saying, look, if you do have to change the wording of that. But, you know, that's why I said, okay, so what was your intention? Because the intention is really everything. Because we all are going to use words a little bit differently.
Mhm.
But it's our intention that really matters, because that's going to come from here.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Well, thank you.
Jackie, I have a question. Wonderful to be with you. Thank you for your teachings
Wonderful to be with you.
and wisdom. You said pain is everywhere. And lately I have had some pain around my heart that I am more aware or conscious of. I think in the past I just push it away so I don't have to feel the pain in my heart. What do you recommend, or what practices do you have to heal from that pain around the heart?
Oh, even just hearing you say that makes me feel that way. I know, it's like, yeah, such a simple question. Oh my gosh. Well, I use just about every single thing that I can to help myself in that moment. But the one thing is that I don't know how this is going to sound, but I am actually grateful that I have that pain. Because like I said, that pain is there anyway. It's just that many people are not conscious of it. It's there already. I keep saying that because it's important to remember pain is always available, because everybody has pain. There isn't anybody who doesn't. So the more sensitive that we become, in the sense of that we open up, we do become more sensitive, which what that means is it means that we become more aware. So Simon, your awareness has gotten to a point to where now you're conscious of the pain that's always been around you wherever you went. So what it does for me is it makes me actually pray for people. And I usually just do my Ganesha prayer. Swami Ganesha, kindly remove the obstacles to these people, to their peace, peace, peace. So that way I don't feel like I'm interfering, but I feel like since I'm conscious of the pain in that area, why not offer out something of upliftment about peace, peace, peace? So that's what I do. But I used to kind of like be a little afraid of how I was getting, because I thought, oh my gosh, is this going to actually hurt my physical heart? It's starting to hurt so bad sometimes, And then I started to realize that, no, it's just a new experience for you to feel this way, because it feels like grief, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sadness.
Yeah, you could really feel it. But then you know that there's not a story to relate it to, And I always do that with myself too. I go, okay, wait a minute. Is this a premonition, or is this an awareness of my environment? Because they can feel the same. A premonition of something can have that feeling of grief in it. But you want to check in your mind if there's something there. And if it's not, then you know that you have walked through a pool of pain. And you want to first be really grateful that you have walked through a pool of pain, and that there's something that you can produce an antidote for. And the antidote would be a virtuous quality. So saying a prayer or a chant or something like that, and it'll make that pain inside of you just feel a little bit better. It's an odd thing when you do something like that, when you are in pain about something environmentally, like if you walk into a store or whatever it is, and suddenly you're like, and then you actually do a counterbalance for it. It kind of makes an interesting, like little elevation, like a little, it feels good, it's like a little elevation, like a little glitter or something. The pain is still there, but you feel it mixing with the antidote, and there's something about that's, I think, really, really uplifting. And then when that happens, I always think about it as, now it's going to come through me and go into the space. I know what you mean, though. It's a blessing, though, it sounds weird, but it's a blessing to have that pain. Many people, when they're learning about intuition, they will say that to me, that I don't want to be intuitive. I don't like it. It hurts. I don't want to know these things. And I always tell them, just like what we're talking about, these things have always been there, and they'll always be there. It's just that now you're aware of it. And then it's like if you're walking in a forest and it's late at night, you would want to know where the bears are. So that pain tells you there's bears here. Give them some honey. Give them some honey. Right?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jack. It's been wonderful being with you today.
Thank you, Simon. Did we have another one there with her, Ruby?
Yeah, what is the best way to not pick up the negative vibrations from others who might have left it in the chair that we sit in?
Oh, yeah, what is the best way? Exactly what we've been talking about is if you do your practice, like, you know, when you leave your home and you're gonna go someplace and and you're gonna have to sit in a chair that other people have sat in, what you want to do first of all is be aware of your practice and know that that is what's going to save. The practice, what I was trying to say earlier, I think I didn't finish my thought actually. Surprise, surprise. But what happens is that when you're doing your mantra or you're doing your practice, your sadhana, and however you're
Bye,
doing.
y'all. Have a great rest of your New Year day.
Okay, thanks.
Happy
Jen,
New Year, everybody.
Happy
Bye-bye.
New Year, yes. Thank you, Simon, for your question.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So anyway, so if you want to, if you practice, you won't absorb that energy. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here today, all of you. I really, really enjoyed being with you and practicing with you. Peace be with you. Namaste.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for a beautiful New Year's Day. The
Yes.
best.
All right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Great New Year, everyone.
You too, Miss Ruby.
Thank you, Jackie.
Blessings
Thank you,
all.
Ruby.
Blessings.
Thank you, Jackie. I love you.
I love you.
I love everybody.
Thank you.
Love everywhere.
Yeah, love everywhere.
Love everywhere. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.